Hi everyone, I'm Monique with MD Consulting. Today's topic is about personality assessments. Now, many of my clients use personality assessments either on their team or on themselves. And I want to say a little bit today about the proper use of those assessments. And by personality assessments, I mean psychometric assessments like the DISC, the Myers-Briggs. There are values assessments, there are strengths assessments, anything that really helps give you some insight about yourself as a person or as a leader would be falling under that umbrella of an assessment. So in coaching, we use assessments a lot. And like I said, leaders use them on their teams. So what I am finding as I work with leaders, they tend to use the assessments many times in the wrong way. So I want to go through some do's and don'ts of using assessments, and hopefully I can clear up some ways that you can stop using them in the wrong way and start using them in a more productive way. So here are some do's for using assessments. When you use the assessment, know that sometimes the information can change in the assessment. Now, there are certain things about our personalities that don't ever change, but there are certain things that do change. For example, if you took a values assessment when you were in your 20s to get a feel for what your values are, and you took that assessment again in your 50s, your values will probably have changed. And same with certain other parts of your personality or your strengths and things like that. So some things can change and shift. So you do need to know that. You also need to know that the answers you give on an assessment are based on how you are experiencing things in your life in that moment that you took the assessment. So that's why sometimes someone can take an assessment even 3 months later, the same assessment, and their answers can be a little different, or the outcome of the assessment can be a little bit different. It depends on the assessment. They are set up in ways that it depends how you respond to the questions. Now, most assessments have a built-in mechanism so that you cannot cheat. I know a lot of people try to do that, but many assessments are already pre-designed, taking that into consideration. Also, another thing to do when you take an assessment is to use it as a way to learn about yourself so that you can create goals from the assessment. So if something comes back to you and it looks like maybe you could improve in certain ways, you can take that upon yourself to use that to your advantage and try to improve those skills. In a previous video, I talked about creating a personal learning plan to continue your personal and professional growth every year. So some of my clients, once we debrief their assessment, we look at things that they want to improve upon, and those things go into their personal learning plan. It becomes a learning goal for them over the course of the next year, is to take some classes or some learning so that they can improve that skill set. So use it as a way to contribute to your professional growth. Use it as a form of discovery, getting more insight about yourself, trying to understand yourself a little bit better. The last thing that's important to do for an assessment, many of my clients, once they receive the results, they actually inform their team about those results. They're very transparent, and they let their team know that these were some of the themes that came back to them in the assessment. These are some things they're going to be working on. And it really helps the team see them as a very authentic, transparent leader who still needs to improve. So that goes a long way when you're managing a team. Now let's talk about some things not to do with an assessment. And these are things that I see a lot, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing this video. Do not compare yourself to other people who may have taken the assessment. And do not compare yourself to other people that you think might have scored higher, or even if they didn't take the assessment, qualities that you see in other people that you may have scored low on. Do not compare. The assessments are not designed to compare against other people. It's a personal reflection of who you are as a person and a leader. And again, things can change. And it's a reflection of how you were in the moment when you answered the questions. So try to keep things in perspective like that. It's your own journey. It's not to be compared with somebody else. Do not ask for people's opinions about your outcome of your assessment. A lot of times in coaching, when we are debriefing an assessment, my client will ask me for my opinion on what the outcome was. What do I think of them as a person now that I have seen the outcome of their assessment? And I do not give an opinion. It really is not up to me, nor is it up to anyone to give an opinion about your assessment. Only you know yourself, and you know yourself better than anybody. So don't ask for an opinion. Also, don't obsess about the outcome of the assessment. Don't worry about it. Do not focus heavily on it. Keep it all in perspective. It's a way for you to know more about yourself. And that kind of information is always helpful in various ways, but not if you obsess about it. There is no right answers to an assessment and no wrong answers. There is no right or wrong. You have to really understand that when you take these assessments. The last thing that really is very important is don't focus too heavily on your low scores or on your weaknesses that showed up in the assessment. And I know people have the philosophy that you need to work hard to improve your weaknesses, that it's great that you have strengths, but you have to work really hard to improve your weaknesses. In the philosophy of coaching, the coaching methodology, we focus on leveraging your strengths. Those are the things that come naturally to you. You're good at them. You don't have to work very hard to display them. Those are the things we focus on in coaching, and those are the things we focus on in an assessment. It is great to be aware of your weaknesses, and that I will definitely agree with. You need to be aware of the weaknesses, and that way you can manage them better. But to focus hard on improving anything that shows up as a weakness in coaching, it is seen as something that's not productive. Now, if you have been given a lot of feedback about something that's a weakness and it shows up as a weakness, and you decide it's important to you to improve it for whatever reason, then in coaching, that can become a goal in coaching. But this is a very personal decision on the part of the person who took the assessment. Not everything needs to be worked on and improved. It all depends on your situation, and you have to take everything within the correct context. So there are some do's and don'ts to what you should do with assessments, but the bottom line is that it's your journey, and it is a way for you to learn more about yourself. I hope this was helpful. Have a great day.